And he said, "You supposed to be a great defender, right?" He said, "I'm going to make sure I tell you where I'm going to shoot the ball at."
He came out that night to make a statement, and I was just the prime candidate to be Before the game, he told me, he was like, he just shook his head at me. He said, "Man, it's going to be a up night for you."
And Larry they really didn't like one another. I mean, really didn't like one another. No, I got him. You know, Coop, I got him. I want him. I'm like, oh, this is what I was learning.
People joke about waking up screaming Larry Bird's name. In 2026, one NBA All-Star made it sound less like a joke and more like a horror movie. Forget Freddy Krueger. Bird with a jumper was apparently the real nightmare.
Larry Bird talking to you saying, I'm the best in Indiana, put a 3 under my ball. That's true?
It is very true. So, I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm about to get this fits out here. Before the game, I was over there rubbing my hands looking at him like,
Larry Bird was my man. Just like I run into a lot of Celtic fans.
Yeah.
I used to hate you.
I get that all the time.
A little more than a month ago, they were engaging in a heated NBA rivalry. But for one night, the Pacers' Chuck Person was part of Larry Bird's team. Well, sort of. Bird, sidelined from recent back surgery, could only offer a little good-natured ribbing as the honorary coach.
Chuck works for me in the summer. He mows my yard. So I see him every day.
What if the greatest trash talker in history didn't just beat you? He broke your soul in front of 20,000 people. Legends who dominated everyone else are now confessing their darkest Bird nightmares.
Sports fan would say that in their particular sports, nobody was any better or ever as good, probably.
Larry and I got to be great friends during the Dream Team. And, it's funny, he talked so much trash. I always talk trash. Talk trash on the phone, on the floor. It was talking so much trash during the Dream Team, and that's how it started.
I remember my very first game in Boston Garden, heard the fans chant, "Jerry, Jerry, Jerry." And I'm in there in his very first Celtic game, and the fans are starting to chant, "Larry, Larry, MVP, MVP," and the scoreboard is shaking up and down. So I go up to him, I said, "Gosh, I can't hear. What are they saying? Are they cheering for Jerry?" And he said, "No, they're cheering for me, Larry."
Larry Bird rolled into the league like some Indiana farm boy who accidentally wandered onto the court. But the second he opened his mouth, everybody knew they were in for a long night.
I always thought of myself as a very, very confident player.
Yeah.
But Bird especially, and he had a whole nother level of confidence than I ever was able to accomplish.
Larry Bird could play in any era, generation, and dominate. Same with Magic. Those guys, Michael, it doesn't matter. You could plug them in the 60s and you could plug them in today's game and they would be just as dominant.
Goes to the right, Bird. He makes the shot, Bird. I said, God damn, who is Bird? Bird. Here's Bird. And Bird this and Bird. Oh, did you see the pass that Bird made? I can't see it, but I'm just trying to imagine it. And when the time I got to the end, I said, damn, that brother can play.
Guys who thought they were tough, athletic freaks with hops that could touch the rim suddenly found themselves getting cooked by a slow white dude who looked like he delivered milk for a living. And the worst part was, Bird did not just talk trash. He delivered it with receipts, signed, sealed, and swished right in your face.
You said some stuff about Larry Bird. Is that the truth and the whole truth?
That motherfucker pump faked us, and me and him, we hit each other in the air, and we fell out on the ground. The white boy, old Larry Bird, dirty ass, looked at us, "Niggas, get up off the ground," and knocked our head off with a damn fight.
Oh my goodness! He did it again!
He was a basketball genius. He'd be a step ahead, a thought ahead, play the game like a chess game. I'd much rather guard Michael Jordan than Larry Bird because you have to play the game as a thinker when you're playing him. You have to get inside his mind. Larry wasn't quick, couldn't jump really high. but there was just some sleepless nights.
I spent the last couple of days with Magic Johnson shooting the Capital One commercials, and every time I see him, I tell him thank you, because Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are the two most important figures in NBA history.
I agree.
Well, people don't understand, to answer your question, people look at this thing now where guys are making $30, $40, $50 million. When I came in, David Stern's first year, the average salary was $200,000. Magic and Bird, those guys changed the entire trajectory of the NBA and made it what it is today.
Picture this. Some rookie steps up thinking he is about to lock down the legend. Bird looks him dead in the eye and says he's going to shoot it right there, right in that spot. And the kid probably laughs it off like, yeah, sure, old man.
Knew me since I was a sophomore, because we would go up there. It's not illegal to go up and be at a camp in Marshville, in Boston, and you work in a camp, but really you're there to play against those nighttime games. So Larry knew who I was, and I get in, Chuck Daly has me starting one time, and Larry looks around and goes, what's up, Sal? I said, no. He goes, you on me? I said, yeah, I got size on you right now. I've been watching every movie. He goes, y'all not double teaming? And he's looking around. He goes, yo. I go, nah, it's just me, fella. He goes, mouse in the house.
Then Bird catches the ball exactly where he promised, rises, and drains it while the poor defender is still wondering how the slow guy got open. That is not luck. That is Larry Legend turning basketball into a personal comedy show where he writes the script, directs the action, and makes sure the punchline always goes through the net. Michael Jordan himself admitted that Bird was the greatest trash talker and mind game player of all time. Jordan said Bird taught him everything about getting into folks' heads. Think about that for a second. The guy who made a career out of destroying dreams credits Larry with the masterclass. If MJ is taking notes, you know the rest of the league was getting straight up schooled every single night.
I'm going to take you over in that corner right there. You see it over there by my bench, right? And I'm going to give you something, and it's going to be this jumper. Right. And I said, shit, watch this. So all of a sudden, we playing, and I'm D'ing him up, and he slow-balled me. That's where I got the slow ball. Put your back to your back like this, and his back was bad during this time. So he went right to that corner, and I'm up on him, I'm under him. And he said, young fella, what did I tell you I was going?
One of the all-time classics happened against Reggie Miller. Reggie, that cocky sharpshooter who loved to run his mouth, tried to distract Bird during free throws late in a tight game. Bird just looks at him and hits the first one. Then he turns to the rookie and drops the hammer. Rook, I am the best shooter in the league right now. Understand? Reggie probably wanted the floor to swallow him whole after that. Bird backed it up, of course, because that is what he did. He did not predict the future. He created it with every swish. Bird had this way of making superstars feel like they should have holiday cheer or whatever. Nah. Bird catches the ball, launches a three-pointer right in front of the guy, and as the ball is still flying, he turns and says, Merry Christmas. The ball goes in, the crowd loses it, and Chuck is left holding a lump of coal in the form of public humiliation. That is cold. That is Larry Bird turning a holiday game into a roast session.
Nothing to do with this poll question. I'm going to let one of the Danettes, McLovin, ask you this question because he's been dying to ask you this.
Okay, if you had to bet a week's pay, who would win a three-point shooting contest, Larry Bird or Reggie Miller?
Now?
No.
In their prime.
Look, by the way, you won, just to let you know. You won this.
Here's how I'll put it, Reggie. If you was my teammate in the pros, I would win hands down. But since I had
opponents would try everything to shut him up. Double teams, triple teams, guys grabbing jerseys, anything. Bird would just smile that country boy smile and ask the coach on the other bench why nobody was guarding him properly. Who is guarding me, Chuck? Is anyone guarding me? You'd better get somebody on me or I am going for 60. Then he would proceed to drop 30 or 40 anyway while the defense scrambled like chickens with their heads cut off. The man did not need speed or vertical. He had vision, touch, and an ego big enough to fill Boston Garden twice over. Dennis Rodman, the Worm himself, one of the best defenders ever, got the full Bird treatment during the playoffs. Bird pump faked him into the air, tangled his legs up, and then just drained another one. Rodman is out here known for rebounding and defense, and Larry is treating him like a practice dummy. Later stories have Bird launching the ball at guys' heads after plays just to keep things interesting. He was not mean. He was just that much better and wanted everybody to know it in real time.
If it wasn't for Chuck, I'd be averaging about 12 points a game over my career. So I have a lot of respect for Chuck, but a lot of times he reminds me of my little brother. I want to beat him as bad as I possibly can every time out.
Well, I figure he won't be on this team so he'll have a chance to win since he's not playing. So it's unfortunate that he's not playing because I know the people will really come to see him play, but it's great that he can still have a game and be able to attend.
It's hard to imagine.
Sports Illustrated. Well, Rodman played them the way that you should. He got right up on Bird and challenged him to make the drive. Bird with the tough fadeaway jump shot.
Well, I remember after playing the Celtics that year, you made a comment. You said, Larry Bird is overrated in a lot of areas. Why does he get so much publicity? Because he's white. You never hear about a black player being the greatest. When you look back on that, do you still agree? Do you think that Larry Bird was overrated, or do you think you were just mad at the time?
No, I told it. I just said I was green. I was just saying anything, man, just because, you know what? I was frustrated because guess what? I got my ass whooped.
Xavier McDaniel caught some heat too. Bird tells him straight up during a game that he is the best player to ever come out of Indiana. Sean Kemp is over there probably thinking the same thing, but Bird singles out McDaniel and then proceeds to back it up by nailing threes in his grill. The Rain Man gets told during a timeout, and the whole thing turns into one big Indiana family reunion of embarrassment. Bird did not care where you were from. If you stepped on the court, you were fair game. Bird walks in, looks around at all these shooters warming up, and asks the room who is coming in second. He sometimes does not even take off his warm-up jacket for the first round, just drains shot after shot while the competition is out there grunting and sweating. He wins it back-to-back and makes it look like a Saturday morning shoot-around at the Y. Guys who practiced their whole lives for that moment are reminded that Larry Bird does not practice. He just shows up and owns the building.
It was a tie game. They had the ball, and DJ was stalling the basketball. You know, Larry was kind of standing. I was right behind him, like denying him the ball. And they called a timeout. And he turned around and looked at me and said, "I'm going to score right here on you." And I said, "I know you will. I'll be ready."
10 seconds. 5, and Bird has the basketball. Look out. 2 seconds on the clock. And timeout used by the Sonics.
He shot a turnaround jump shot. I just looked back and the ball just went in.
Teammates loved it and opponents hated it, but everybody respected it because he backed every single word. Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish would sit back and watch Larry dismantle souls night after night. Parrish talked about how Bird imposed his will like nobody else. One night, Bird gets hot, starts calling his own shots. Off the glass here, who is next? Where you want it from? Dominique Wilkins catches the worst of it one game, getting tortured mentally while Bird is dropping dimes and threes like it is nothing. The man was playing chess while everybody else was still figuring out checkers. Clyde Drexler got a taste as a rookie. Bird looks at him and says, "You cannot stop me." Clyde tries to respond, but what are you going to say to a guy who then proceeds to prove it over and over? Bird had that soft-spoken delivery that made it even worse. He was not screaming or acting crazy. He would just state facts in that calm Indiana drawl, and then the facts would go through the net with a perfect arc. It messed with your head more than any yell ever could.
I was laughing because I was in the All-Star game with you when you walked in and asked who was going to get second place in the three-point contest. When you walked up, when you walked in there, what were you thinking when you made that announcement to the room? Just messing with all those guys like you always did.
Yeah,
with everybody?
I didn't. I had no clue. I never really practiced. Me and Danny used to shoot some before we went out there, but everybody's sitting there. Everybody's real quiet. You really didn't. You knew the guys, but you never were around them. And nobody's really saying anything. So I walk in and look around, and it just came out.
One story has Bird walking into the opposing locker room before a game and telling them exactly how many points he's going to drop. Guys laugh it off until he goes out and does it. Another time, he tells the defender he is insulted they put a white guy on him because it is disrespectful to his game. The defender is standing there like, "Wait, what?" Meanwhile, Bird is already cooking him for 30. He turned racial stereotypes into his own personal motivation fuel and left defenders questioning their entire existence. He treated showdowns like personal duels where only one king could walk away. The Celtics-Lakers battles were must-see television because you never knew what kind of verbal warfare Larry was going to unleash next. He did not just want to win, he wanted to make sure you remembered losing for the rest of your career.
That was a tough night, man. The biggest argument that night is, well, you only scored 6 on me.
But nobody was guarding Bird, were they?
Well, we were trying.
You were trying to.
But when a guy is literally coming up the court, calling his shots, And, Bird talked a lot of trash.
And that's in New Orleans.
That's in New Orleans. In that game, we're on the free throw line, and he literally says, left side across the three, and you're listening to him. That's a tough feeling.
Sean Kemp and others heard the Indiana line and felt the burn. Bird claimed the state like it was his backyard, even though plenty of great players came from there. He just happened to be the best one, and he made sure everybody knew it. Teammates would hear him muttering during games about taking it out on rear ends or wrapping up Christmas presents in the form of block shots and steals. That is what made it legendary. Guys would try to clap back, and he would just hit another shot and say, "I told you so," while smacking them on the butt as he ran by. Earl Cureton talked about how Bird Pump faked you into running past him, slapped your rear, and then drained the jumper. It was psychological warfare mixed with elite skill. You could not guard him physically, and you definitely could not guard him mentally.
I don't think.
But I guarded his ass so tough.
40-point triple-double.
I guarded his ass so tough that after the game, he came. He sent a little letter over there to me. He was like, I've had nobody play defense that hard on me.
I love it.
He go, I appreciate you playing. Then he was like, I got a little All-Star game. Why don't you come work out with me? Come to All-Star game, man.
That's dope.
And let me see that summer. And I was like, shit, that meant everything to me.
Yeah, that's
You guys became friends after
absolutely,
that. To this
man.
day?
Absolutely. So it went from him whooping my ass to him teaching me a few things.
Imagine being a young player full of confidence, stepping into the Garden, and hearing Larry Legend tell you exactly how he is going to embarrass you. Then he does it. Over and over. The fear was real. Players admitted they hated guarding him. They hated seeing him catch the ball because they knew something bad was about to happen to their highlight reel. One guy said every time Bird touched it, it was like, oh no, here we go again. That kind of reputation does not come from talking alone. He turned arenas into classrooms where the lesson was humility delivered via jump shots. Rookies, veterans, superstars, none of them were safe. He roasted entire benches by shooting right in front of them and wishing them happy holidays. He asked coaches to put better defenders on him because the current ones were making it too easy. And then he scored anyway. The audacity was unmatched.
What he gave me.
Even in retirement, the stories keep coming. Players who faced him years later still shake their heads when they talk about it. They describe sleepless nights and the mental toll of trying to stop a guy who moved like molasses but thought 3 steps ahead of everybody. Bird saw the court like a chessboard and his opponents like pawns. He sacrificed their egos for the greater good of winning, and he did it with a smile. The beauty of it all is how natural it felt for him. Then he brought that same backyard swagger to the biggest stages and made professionals look silly. Opponents would double team him, and he would find the open man or just rise up anyway. Defenders would sag off, and he would knock down the 3. Play tight, and he would drive or pass. There was no right way to guard Larry Bird, and he made sure you knew it.
Larry was a special cat because it proved to me this man could really play basketball. I had heard about him, but I never saw him play live and in person, and he was incredible. I mean, he dominated, and that's what it's all about. So I went back home telling everybody, oh, this Larry Bird guy is for real. Right.
One night against the Jazz, he was on fire and kept telling the bench what was coming next. The trainer's lap became the target, and sure enough, the ball ended up there. Who wants it? He yelled. The crowd ate it up. The Jazz probably wanted to disappear. That is the kind of energy that turns good players into legends and legends into myths. Bird became a myth while he was still playing. Reggie Miller tried again later in his career, but the early lessons stuck. That is the power of Bird's game. It lingered. It followed you into future seasons and made you better, even if you hated admitting it. Jordan learned from it and used those mind games to dominate his era. Bird set the standard, and the league has been chasing that level of psychological dominance ever since. Modern players talk big on social media, but back then it was face-to-face, man-to-man with 20,000 fans watching you get cooked in real time. No delete button, no edits. Just pure embarrassment on the biggest stage.
Larry Bird, that motherfucker from French Lick, Indiana. So what the fuck we expect? Back in them days, see, I'm an old motherfucker. I'm 60. I know everybody think this nigga up here 45.
They think you like 40,
I'm
45,
60.
man.
I'm 60. I heard a lot of shit that, you know what I mean? But, it is what it is. And yes, that's the God of heaven fucking truth. He called me and Buck Johnson, niggas get off the floor and hit us with that motherfucker. You know, that shit was long gated. And you think he gonna shoot it, then he bring them up, and then he
Bird's teammates fed off it too. They knew if Larry was talking, the energy was high and the win was coming. Opposing teams dreaded those nights in Boston where the Garden felt like a pressure cooker and Larry was the one turning up the heat. He did not need fancy dunks or flashy moves. His game was efficient, smart, and deadly accurate. Combine that with a mouth that never quit, and you had the perfect storm of basketball terror. He saved all his words for the floor where they hurt the most. He would run by you after a made shot and say, "I told you so." "Nice try," he would add with a pat on the back. It was almost polite, which made it even more infuriating. You could not even get mad at the delivery because it was so matter of fact. Just another day at the office for Larry.
Gave you so much confidence. Like you could just
you could depend on him.
You could just see like his confidence,
Right.
and like everybody just like added to everybody else's confidence.
How was it when you first met him? Like, what was that interaction like, and getting to know him?
He was great. I mean, he was a worker. We played a lot of one-on-one, full court, like half court, full court basketball, just, in practice every day. I got to know Larry really well, but he was a great worker, a great teammate. He told me like when he didn't think I was taking a good shot.
So when you said that Larry would put the fear in you, like walk me through that. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so Rich, we're going up to play, and I'm a Celtic fan since I was 15 or whatever.
Even in Brooklyn, New York?
That's because I didn't like the Knicks because everyone else liked them, and the Celtics always won and the Knicks always lost. And all the New Yorkers, I don't really care. My mother would say to me, "Hey, tell Patrick I said hello." And then because I played with him since we were 16, I would elbow him and say, "That's for my mom."
The 60-point game stories are wild. Bird is dropping buckets left and right, talking to defenders the whole time, and making it look effortless. He had nights where everything was clicking, and he still found time to let the other team know they had no chance. That confidence came from years of work and an unshakable belief in his own ability. He knew he was the best, and he was happy to prove it to anybody who doubted. The white guy disrespect line, the Christmas three, the trainer's lap shot, the rookie warnings. Each one reminds us that basketball used to have characters who played the game with personality and flair. Bird brought the smoke and the fire to back it up. He destroyed opponents not just with skill, but with preparation and IQ. He studied film, knew tendencies, and used that knowledge to stay one step ahead. Then he verbalized it on the court to mess with their heads even more. It was layers upon layers of dominance. Physical, mental, emotional. Larry Bird checked every box and left the league better for it.
Celtics still trying to search out a style of play. Bird will take the first shot.
I remember my rookie year, but I didn't guard him. Larry Bird. We played him in the Boston Garden, and I was in the paint, and somehow the ball was swung around. And Larry had caught it, and I was running out to Larry Bird, and you know his famous motion. He just kind of shot it as I was running out. He said, "Too late, rookie." That's what he's too late, rookie, and obviously it went down, and I just shook my head and ran down to the man.
Young players today watch highlights and think it looks easy. Slow motion dimes, soft touch jumpers, and that deadpan trash talk. But living it night after night against the best athletes in the world is something else entirely. Bird made it look routine because he worked harder than anybody realized. That farm boy work ethic combined with God-given talent created a monster on the hardwood. The victims list is long and star-studded. That is the mark of a true legend. Not just winning rings and MVPs, but embedding yourself in the memories of everyone who dared to compete against you. Bird turned the NBA into his personal playground, and the rest of the league was just trying to keep up with a slow-footed country boy who moved like he was still hauling hay bales back in French Lick. He backed up every single claim with cold precision, destroyed every doubter who stepped in his path, and did it all with a style that perfectly mixed that humble Indiana farm boy charm with a stone-cold killer instinct that left opponents questioning their entire careers.
Never went to college. And also there's no physicality. You have to factor in these guys I played 3 years of college. I think Bird played 4 years of college. Michael played 3 years of college. Tim Duncan played 4 years of college. David Robinson played 4 years of college. So the guys talk about, these guys, like I say, and listen, it's a different game now because no physicality, but you have to factor in all the years some of these guys lost going to college. I think Bird went to college. He went to 2 or 3 schools, if I remember correctly, before he went to Indiana State.
Larry did not just show up to play basketball. He arrived to put on a masterclass in confidence, skill, and mental domination that the league still talks about decades later. The The game has changed a lot since his era with flashier dunks, faster paces, and highlight reel athletes who can jump out of the gym, but the stories about Bird remain timeless because they capture something pure and rare in sports. They remind us what it really means to play with supreme confidence, backed by unmatched skill. He would look a defender in the eyes, tell them exactly where and how he was going to score, and then deliver on that promise with a silky jumper or no-look pass that left the crowd roaring and the opponent embarrassed.
Remember, because we were sitting there and you were putting the balls on the rack like you were going to do it, and you remember you told me, you said it's weird to take the ball here because we always got passes, and so like you were trying to get the feel of getting the ball off the rack.
Looks like he's found the mark, Bill. He is smoking.
You started practicing a few days before the All-Star game with that three-point contest. I remember because you were saying, I'm going to win this check.
You remember the steal game? And what did you guys think when that happened? Like, because that was
Larry stole the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, like I just described it by Johnny Most. I mean, he just went berserk because you know what? It looked very, very dim for the Celtics.
I remember watching it.
Very dim. And you didn't really know what was going to happen. And all Detroit had to do was inbound the ball. Now, the funny part about that is that's all we had to do in 1984. James Worthy taking the ball out. All they do is get it in.
And that, more than anything, is why his victim stories continue to entertain and amaze basketball fans decades later. Because deep down, we all